Have you ever wondered why that cat that always ignored you appears just when your soul is broken? Why is it approaching when your faith wobbles and your heart is in pieces? It's no accident, brother. What you are experiencing is a spiritual manifestation that few people manage to understand. When the chosen one is in spiritual danger, when his connection with God is threatened, heaven activates protection mechanisms that go beyond our human understanding. The Bible teaches us in Psalm 34:18 that close to those broken from the heart and saves the contrite of spirit. Well, sometimes God uses unexpected instruments to manifest his closeness. That cat that seemed distant was not rejecting you. He was being spiritually prepared for the exact moment in which his presence would be necessary. As the angels mentioned by Hebrews 1:14, these felines become mining spirits that operate in invisible dimensions. Today you will discover why cats only behave in this way with specific people, why their surveillance coincides perfectly with your spiritual crises, and why their presence marks the beginning of battles that go beyond the physical world. If this happened to you, you were warned through who cannot speak, but whose actions communicate lighter heavenly messages than any sermon. Before continuing, let me know in the comments. Have you experienced something similar with a cat during difficult times of your life? If you believe in the power of Jesus Christ and in the divine manifestations, like this video, subscribe to the channel and share it with someone who needs to understand these spiritual signals. Because what you are going to learn today can completely change your perspective on divine protection and the spiritual war that surrounds you. Have you ever noticed how that cat that seemed indifferent to your presence suddenly appears when your soul is broken? It's no accident, brother. When your faith wobbles and your heart is in pieces, that feline that previously ignored you now is approaching a determination that challenges all logic. It is as if I had received an invisible signal, a spiritual alert, that says, now is when he needs me the most. The Bible teaches us in Psalm 34:18 that close to those broken from the heart and saves the contrite of spirit. Well, sometimes God uses unexpected instruments to manifest his closeness. Imagine for a moment, you have not seen that neighborhood cat for days, the one that always looked at you with disdain from the window. But just when you receive that devastating news, when your world falls apart and you feel that God has abandoned you, there is. He approaches slowly, with deliberate steps, as if he knew exactly what is happening inside. It is not looking for food. It does not come for caresses. It comes because something in the spiritual kingdom has given him the order to be present. It is as if Jesus Christ had whispered to his ear, "Go." He needs to know that he is not alone. This phenomenon is not a product of imagination or coincidence. When the chosen one enters into spiritual crisis, when his connection with God is threatened by circumstances, heaven activates protection mechanisms that go beyond our human understanding. The cat, in its animal simplicity, becomes a silent messenger. He does not speak, but his presence communicates something deep. The battle has begun, but you are not unprotected. It is fascinating how God can use a creature that does not even understand concepts such as faith or salvation to convey their love and care. The previous distance of the cat was not rejection, it was preparation. During all that time when he seemed to ignore you, he was being spiritually trained to recognize the exact moment in which his presence would be necessary. As the angels mentioned by the Bible in Hebrews 1:14, which are ministering spirits sent to service in favor of those who will be heirs of salvation, this feline becomes a divine instrument. Its appearance marks the beginning of a spiritual vigil that few people manage to perceive consciously. When you observe this pattern in your life, do not discard it as a simple animal coincidence. He acknowledges that you are witnessing a manifestation of divine care that operates in dimensions that escape human logic. That cat that returned when you needed it most is a sign that your soul has value in the eyes of God, and that even in the darkest moments, when your faith seems to fade, heaven does not lose sight of you. The next time this happens, take it as an invitation to strengthen your relationship with Jesus Christ, because if God is sending silent guardians, it is because he has important plans for your life. There are moments in the life of the chosen one where everything falls apart simultaneously. Your faith, which was previously solid as a rock, suddenly feels fragile as a glass. Your mind, who used to find peace in prayer, is now full of doubts and confusion. Your soul, who knew the presence of God, now experiences a terrifying vacuum. It is precisely in these moments of maximum spiritual vulnerability when the cat appears. It is not that the feline has supernatural powers, but has been endowed by the Creator with a special sensitivity to detect when the chosen one is in spiritual danger. As Ephesians 6:12 says, "Because we have no fight against blood and flesh, but against principles, against powers, against the governors of the darkness of this century." Think about it. How many times have you been at your lowest time, feeling that your connection with Jesus Christ has weakened, and suddenly that cat appears? It doesn't run happily as a dog would. No, its approach is different. Walk with purpose, with a seriousness that seems out of place in an animal. His eyes don't look for games or attention. They are alert, scanning the atmosphere as if you could see things that you cannot perceive. It is as if he had received a specific mission from heaven. The chosen one is exposed, sees and takes a position. Synchronization is too perfect to be casual. Just when your spiritual armor has cracks, when prayers feel empty and the Bible looks like a closed book, there is. The cat does not understand theological concepts, but its animal spirit is tuned with spiritual frequencies that humans have lost in our mental complexity. God, in His infinite wisdom, has programmed in these creatures the ability to detect when His children are in dangerous spiritually speaking territory. This phenomenon reveals something deep about the nature of spiritual war. When the chosen one weakens, when his faith hesitates, a window of opportunity opens for the dark forces. It is as if there were a silent alarm that is activated in the spiritual kingdom, warning both angels and demons about the vulnerable condition of the chosen one. The cat, being sensitive to these spiritual fluctuations, responds instinctively, moving towards the danger zone. It does not come to comfort you with slots. It comes to establish a protective presence. The next time you are in one of those moments where you feel that your faith crumbles and a cat appears from nothing, contend it as a spiritual alert sign. Do not ignore this phenomenon thinking that it is just coincidence. Instead, use it as a reminder to strengthen your connection with God, to intensify your prayers, and to seek refuge in the presence of Jesus Christ. Because if the sky is sending four-leg vigilance, it is because the battle for your soul has intensified, and you need to be more alert than ever. This is where many people completely confuse. They hope that the cat that is approaching during their spiritual crisis will come to provide comfort, to purr in their lap, and to offer that emotional warmth that we associate with pets. But no, brother. This feline has a completely different mission. It does not come to comfort you. He comes to watch yourself. His behavior is distinctive, and anyone who has experienced this will recognize him immediately. It is strategically positioned, walks in circles around your space, observes the doors with an intensity that seems almost human, and sits in front of you with a penetrating look that goes beyond animal curiosity. As 1 Peter 5:8. Be sober and velad, because your adversary the devil, as a roaring lion, is around looking for whoever devours. The cat vigil is not casual or instinctive in the traditional sense. It is a scheduled response divinely for specific situations where the chosen one is spiritually exposed. Look how it behaves. You don't look for caresses. Do not mala asking for attention. It is not distracted with toys or food. His approach is laser. His attention is completely directed towards the protection of the space where you are. It is as if he had received specific orders from Jesus Christ. Do not comfort him, protégelo. Do not distract him. Look at it. His presence is that of a silent sentinel that has been bet on your life during this critical moment. Look at the details of your vigilant behavior. When walking around your space, it does not do it randomly. It is marking a spiritual perimeter, establishing a protection zone. When you look at the doors, you are not waiting for someone to enter. It is monitoring possible access points for negative influences. When he sits facing you, he is not asking for attention. He is fulfilling his duty of guardian. The Bible speaks to us in Psalm 121:3-4 that you will not give your foot to the slippage, nor will the one who keeps you keep you. Behold, the one who keeps Israel will not be numb or sleep. God uses unexpected instruments to fulfill your protection promises. This feline vigil reveals something deep about the nature of divine protection. God does not always send comfort. When we are in crisis, sometimes send surveillance. It does not always send immediate relief. Sometimes guardians send. The cat intuitively understands that your main need at that time is not to be comforted, but be protected. Your spiritual vulnerability has made you a target, and before you can receive health and restoration, you need security. It's like having a soldier bed on your door while you recover from battle wounds. When I experience this feline vigil, do not feel rejected, because the cat does not look for your affection. Understand that it is fulfilling a much more important function than simple emotional comfort. He is serving as a tangible reminder that, even if you feel abandoned by God, you are actually under His active protection. Take advantage of this vigil to reflect on your spiritual condition, to identify the areas where your faith needs strengthening, and to seek a deeper connection with Jesus Christ. Because when God sends vigilantes, it is because He intends to preserve you for something great that is to come. This is one of the most shocking revelations about this phenomenon. Cats do not react in this way with all people. You can observe the same feline interacting with different individuals, and you will notice that their behavior varies dramatically. With some people it is completely indifferent, with others it can be affectionate and playful. But that intense and protective surveillance that we have been describing only the manifest with certain specific individuals. Because these cats have been endowed by God with the ability to recognize the spiritual brand of the chosen one. As John 10:14 teaches us, I am the good shepherd, and I know my sheep, and mine know me. There is something in the spirit of the chosen one that resonates at frequencies that these animals can detect. Imagine for a moment, in a room full of, people, the cat can completely ignore the majority, but it will go specifically towards the one who carries the spiritual call. It is not that other people are less valuable in the eyes of God, but that the chosen carries a different spiritual mark, a divine responsibility that makes it the target of more intense spiritual attacks. The cat, in its animal simplicity, recognizes this brand and responds accordingly. It is as if he could see the spiritual aura that surrounds the chosen one, that particular light that has been separated for specific divine purposes. The cat's selectivity reveals something deep about the nature of the spiritual call. Not all believers experience the same level of spiritual war. Those who have been chosen for specific missions, to carry particular revelations, or to fulfill unique divine purposes, face a more intense opposition by the dark forces, as Ephesians 1:4. As He chose us in Him before the foundation of the world, so that we were sainted and without spot in front of Him. This divine choice is accompanied by a greater responsibility, and therefore of a more specific need for protection. The cat can distinguish between common faith and the special call. It can normally interact with an average believer, but when you are in front of someone who carries a specific divine mission, their behavior changes completely. It is as if he had received heavenly instructions on how to treat each type of person. With the chosen one, the instruction is clear: monitor, protect, alert. This ability to discern is not a product of human training. It is a divine program that operates instinctively. When you observe that a cat treats you differently than it treats others, do not discard it as animal preference. Recognize that it can be a confirmation of your spiritual call. If you experience that protective surveillance that we have been describing, understand that you have something special in your spirit that requires additional protection. This must be motivated to take your relationship with Jesus Christ more seriously, to deepen your study of the Bible, and prepare yourself to fulfill the specific purpose for which God has chosen you. Because if even cats recognize your call, it is time for you to recognize it and act accordingly. The stories are impressive and are repeated with a consistency that challenges all logical explanation. Maria, a 45-year-old intercessor, tells how her gata Luna began to behave strangely 3 days before she experienced the most intense spiritual crisis of her life. Luna stopped sleeping in her usual place and positioned herself at the door of my room all night. Maululba, in a disturbing way, and refused to get away from me. On the third day, I received news that devastated my faith and plunged me into a deep depression. It was then that I understood that Luna had been preparing to protect me. As Amos 3:7 teaches us, because the Lord will not do anything, Jehovah, without revealing his secret to his servants. Sometimes God reveals his secrets through unexpected instruments. Carlos, a 38-year-old pastor, tells a similar but even more dramatic experience. I had a street cat that occasionally visited my patio, but I had never shown special interest in me. One night, this cat appeared in my window maulando desperately. When I opened the door, it went directly to my studio and positioned herself in front of my desk where I had the Bible open. That same night, I began to experience terrible nightmares and panic attacks that lasted weeks. The cat remained in my house during that period, constantly watching. The synchronization between the appearance of the cat and the beginning of the spiritual crisis cannot be coincidence. Anna, a 52-year-old missionary, lived something that marked her forever. It was going through a period of terrible spiritual dryness. I felt that Deus had abandoned me and that my prayers did not reach heaven. During those weeks, a cat appeared in my garden and began to follow me everywhere. I did not leave me alone, or a moment. One night, while crying in my room questioning my faith, the cat got on my bed and lay over my Bible. It was as if Jesus Christ was telling me through that animal, I have not abandoned you. I am taking care of you even when you cannot feel my presence. The Bible assures us in Isaiah 49:15-16, will the woman forget what she gave birth to stop sympathizing with the son of her belly? Even if I forget, I will never forget you. Behold, in the palms of the hands I have you sculpted. Roberto, a 41-year-old evangelist, experienced something that completely changed his perspective about spiritual war. He was facing intense spiritual attacks after a very successful evangelistic campaign. I began to have disturbing visions and feel evil in my house. It was then that a cat appeared before. This feline patrolled my house all night, especially around the areas where I prayed. One night, I saw him positioned at the door of my room, completely alert, as if he were facing something that I could not see. Gradually, the attacks ceased, but the cat remained until my spiritual peace was complete. The storm arrives. Spiritual, that detects when toxic people, dangerous decisions, or malignant influences approach the orbit of the chosen one. These spiritual masks that often deceive even mature believers, literally between you and the source of negative influence. The cat, instinctively, is constantly testing the spirits that approach the chosen one. When it detects something that is not aligned with the divine light, its behavior changes immediately. It becomes restless, vigilant, and is often physically positioned between the chosen and the source of spiritual danger. It is as if he had received specific instructions from Jesus Christ. When you see that the enemy approaches, take position and alert to the chosen one. This phenomenon manifests itself in very specific ways. The cat can physically block the passage towards certain areas of the house when there are problematic visits. He can insistently manipulate when the chosen one is about to make a decision that will take him away from God. It can refuse to move away from the side of the chosen one when there are people present who, although they seem spiritual, are actually sowing confusion. Its behavior is not territorial in the traditional animal sense. He is a protective in the deepest spiritual sense. The next time you observe that a cat is activated in an unusual way in the presence of certain people or situations, do not ignore this signal. Instead of ruling out the behavior of the feline as a simple animal instinct, use it as an opportunity to spiritually examine the situation. Ask yourself, what is in this person or circumstance that could be generating this protective reaction? Is there anything that my spiritual discernment should be detecting but that I am overlooking? Because when God activates these silent guardians, it is because there are spiritual dangers that require your immediate attention and your deepest connection with the protection that only Jesus Christ can offer. Here we reach the heart of this spiritual mystery that many try to explain with purely animal logic, but that goes far beyond any known instinctive behavior. What we are witnessing is not simply the result of pheromones, changes in human body language, or behavioral patterns learned. It is a manifestation of spiritual discernment that operates in invisible dimensions to the human eye. As 1 Corinthians teach us 2:14. But the natural man does not perceive the things that are of the Spirit of God, because for him they are madness, and cannot understand them, because they have to discern spiritually. See, cats, in their simplicity, have maintained a connection with the spiritual kingdom that humans have lost in our intellectual complexity. The spiritual discernment of the cat operates at frequencies that transcend the 5 traditional senses. They can detect changes in the spiritual field that surrounds the chosen, alterations in the invisible atmosphere that indicate danger or spiritual vulnerability. They are not responding to what they see, hear, or smell on the physical level. They are responding to what they perceive in the spiritual plane. It is as if they had access to a dimension of reality that remains hidden for most human beings. Jesus Christ, in his infinite wisdom, has preserved this capacity in certain creatures so that they can serve as instruments for protection and alert. Consider the precision of your answer. They do not react to any type of stress or human emotion, but specifically to spiritual crises. They are not activated by common financial problems or normal relational conflicts, but in situations that involve faith, divine purpose, or attacks specifically directed against the soul of the chosen one. This selectivity reveals a level of discernment that goes beyond animal instinct. It is as if they had been scheduled divinely to recognize and respond only to specific spiritual threats. The Bible speaks to us in 2 Kings 6:17 of how Elisha prayed, "I beg you, O Jehovah, that you open his eyes to see." Then Jehovah opened the servant's eyes and looked, and behold, the mountain was full of horse people and cars around Elisha. Cats seem to have their constantly open spiritual eyes, perceiving the angelic and demonic activity that develops around the chosen one. Its protective behavior is not a reaction to the visible, but an answer to the invisible. This invisible discernment of the cat should serve as a humble reminder for the chosen one. Theological reasoning can detect spiritual realities that you, with all your biblical education, sometimes ignore. Then you need to develop a more acute, spiritual sensitivity. So simple to alert you about spiritual hazards. It is because you want to develop the ability to discern these realities for yourself through a deeper connection with Jesus Christ, of God, so that you can be firm against the rods of the devil. Those who carry divine promises also carry the responsibility of facing more intense spiritual battles. And it is precisely because of this reality that heaven, in his infinite mercy, assigns silent vigilantes that operate in ways that go beyond our human understanding. The chosen one who prayed fervently and seeks to fulfill his divine purpose automatically in a priority target for the enemy. Felines that most people do not even notice. Spiritual, but intensifies dramatically when the dark forces increase their attacks, of which angelic protection is manifested in the physical plane. This must be motivated to take your life of more seriously prayer, to deepen your study of the Bible, and to walk with greater confidence in the fulfillment of your divine purpose. Because if Deus is assigning special guards for your protection, it is because it has important plans that require that you remain firm and protected during the battles that are yet to come. The presence of these silent guardians must inspire you to pray with greater fervor and battle with greater determination, knowing that Jesus Christ has provided everything necessary for your spiritual victory. There are nights in the life of the chosen one who mark a before and after in his spiritual experience. They are those nights where the cat completely leaves its usual routine, leaves its preferred resting place, and positions itself by your side with a determination that transcends any normal animal behavior. It is not emotional attachment that motivates it. It is spiritual vigil. He does not seek body heat or comfort. It seeks to fulfill a protection mission that has received from higher dimensions. As 1 Peter 5:8. Be sober and velad, because your adversary the devil, as a roaring lion, is around looking for whoever devours. When the cat stays all night, it is because your soul has officially entered into battle territory. The cat's night vigil is not accidental or comfortable for him. Felines are creatures of very specific habits in terms of their rest places. And when they leave these established patterns to remain by your side, they are responding to a spiritual alert of higher priority. During those nights, you can see how it remains completely alert, with open eyes, the ears in constant movement, monitoring sounds and movements that go beyond the physical plane. His posture is that of a soldier on guard, not that of a pet looking for affection. Jesus Christ has activated this protection system because the spiritual war that surrounds you has reached a critical level. During these night vigils, many chosen report intense spiritual experiences, prophetic dreams, spiritual nightmares, sensations of malignant presences, or an inexplicable concern that keeps them awake. The cat, strategically positioned by your side, is serving as a living spiritual barrier between your vulnerable soul and the forces that seek to attack you during the most vulnerability hours. The night, according to the scriptures, is when the dark forces increase their activity, and Deus, knowing this reality, has provided specific protection for these critical moments. The permanence of the cat throughout the night indicates that the battle is not brief or superficial. It is a prolonged war that requires sustained surveillance. It is not a passenger spiritual attack that is resolved with a rapid prayer. It is a serious confrontation between the kingdom of light and darkness for the fate and purpose of the chosen one. As Daniel 10:12-13 teaches us, where the angel explains to Daniel that there was a spiritual battle of 21 days before he could arrive with the response to his prayers. Some spiritual battles require prolonged surveillance and sustained protection. When you experience one of these nights where the cat remains by your side in constant vigil, do not take it lightly. Recognize that you are in the middle of a significant spiritual battle that your active participation requires. Use those hours to pray intensely, to meditate on Deus's word, and to declare your faith in the victory that Jesus Christ has already won for you. Do not allow fear to paralyze you. Instead, it allows the presence of the feline vigilante to remind you that you are not alone in the battle. Deus has provided protection, and although the war is real, victory is already assured for those who remain firm in their faith and divine purpose. If you have come here and recognize your own experience in these descriptions, you cannot afford to ignore what has just been revealed to your eyes. You have witnessed a divine manifestation that operates through silent instruments, and this revelation is accompanied by a spiritual responsibility that you cannot take lightly. As Amos 3:7 teaches us, because the Lord will not do anything, Jehovah, without revealing his secret to his servants. Deus has revealed a secret through who cannot speak with human words, but whose actions communicate heavenly messages lighter than any sermon. The appearance, approach, and vigil of the cat in your life was not an animal coincidence. It was a divine warning about your spiritual condition and the dangers that surround you. Heaven used this particular method because he knew you would pay attention to something so unusual and unexpected. If I had sent the warning through conventional means, you would probably have rationalized or ignored. But when an animal acts in a way that challenges all natural logic, it forces you to look for deeper explanations. Jesus Christ knows exactly what type of sign you need to wake up spiritually. This silent warning comes with an implicit urgency that you cannot afford to ignore. If the cat appeared during a moment of spiritual crisis, it is because you were in real danger of deviating from your divine purpose. If he stayed watching overnight, it is because the dark forces had identified a window of opportunity to attack your soul. If it was positioned as a protective barrier, it is because there were negative influences trying to access your life. The Bible warns us in Hebrews 2:3. How will we escape if we neglect such a great salvation? You cannot neglect such a specific and personal warning. The fact that Deus has used an instrument that cannot speak to communicate with you reveals something deep about your spiritual condition at that time. Perhaps you had stopped listening to his voice through the traditional media. Prayer had become routine, the mechanical biblical reading, and your spiritual sensitivity had decreased. When normal divine communication channels are obstructed by routine or crisis, Deus looks for alternative methods to reach your heart. The silent cat became his voice when your spiritual ears were closed to other messages. Now that you have received this revelation, you have a crucial decision to make. You can continue ignoring spiritual signals and living as if nothing had happened, or you can recognize that you have been marked by the sky for something specific and act accordingly. If you choose the second option, you must intensify your prayer life, deepen your study of the Bible, and look for a more intimate connection with Jesus Christ. You must also develop your spiritual discernment so that you do not need to depend on external warnings, but you can detect spiritual dangers and opportunities for yourself. Because if Deus had to use a silent guard to wake up, it is time for you to wake up completely and assume your role is chosen with all the seriousness and commitment that this requires. The war for your soul is real, but so is the victory that awaits you when you walk in full obedience to your divine call. If you have come here and recognize your own experience in everything we have shared, you cannot ignore what you just discovered. You have witnessed a divine manifestation that operates through silent instruments, and this revelation comes with a spiritual responsibility that you cannot take lightly. Now I want to know about you. Have you lived any of these experiences with cats during moments of spiritual crisis? Do you recognize the surveillance and protection patterns that we have described? Share your testimony in the comments because your experience can help others chosen to understand the signs that God is sending to their lives. If this content has opened your spiritual eyes and has helped you understand something that seemed inexplicable before, do not forget to like and subscribe to the channel, activating notifications. Thus, you will not miss any of our videos that reveal deep spiritual truths that few dare to share. And speaking of spiritual revelations, in the next video that will appear on your screen, we will explore the 7 signs that you are a chosen one that the enemy fears. You cannot miss it because you will discover specific characteristics that confirm your divine call and why the dark forces intensify their attacks against you. Remember, if God is sending silent vigilantes to your life, it is because it has important plans for you. Do not ignore the signs. Strengthen your faith in Jesus Christ and prepare to fulfill the divine purpose for which you were chosen. Until the next video, may God bless you abundantly. I am Jose, and see you soon.